All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Board of Adjustments November 25th, 2014 meeting. I'm calling it to order. My name is Brad Walker, Chairman. Before I get started, I want to go ahead and mention to everybody in the audience that if you're here for a Sammy Street variance, that's not being held tonight. That was pulled earlier, so if you're here for anything that has to do with Sammy Street, it's not going to be held tonight. All right, let's go on with roll call of members. Mr. Jim Cecil, not here. Ms. Kathy Desideer, not here. Mr. Aaron Lawyer?
Here.
Mr. Mike Brew, not here. Mr. Willie Robinson?
Here.
All right. Mr. Devin Graham?
Here.
All right. At this time, I'd like to open it up for public comment period. If you have anything to say for or against the Board of Adjustments, please come forward. If you're here for an agenda item, we'll do a public comment period under each agenda item. Anybody has anything for or against the Board of Adjustments? All right. Closing public comment period. At this time, I'd like to have a motion to accept the minutes of the October 28th, 2014 meeting.
Motion.
All right, second.
Second.
All right, got a motion by Mr. Devin Graham, second by Mr. Willie Robinson to approve the minutes as written. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Do I hear I need a motion to accept the written decisions for the October 28th, 2014 meeting? Do I hear a motion?
Motion. To accept. Second over.
Okay. All right, got a motion by Mr. Willie Robinson, second by Mr. Devin Graham, to approve the written decisions as written. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're now going to our first public hearing, our only one tonight. Zoning Review ID 2472.14 for River Landings, first filing for D.R. Horton Incorporated, located on the south side of LA Highway 482, approximately 700 feet west of Beechwood Subdivision Road. Is somebody here to represent this hardship? Please come get sworn in, please.
Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
My name's Adam Kurtz. I'm the land acquisition manager with D.R. Horton, and here to talk about the River Landing subdivision, which is 69 proposed lots, and we're purchasing all of the lots from the developer, and we have about 10 different house plans that we're proposing on these lots. We've already submitted these, gotten these approved by the architectural standards of the developer to protect his remaining investment in the land. We originally entered into the agreement planning to build a variety of homes that would be in the price range of about $240,000 to $300,000 houses. These are similar plans to what has been built in the Eagles Landing subdivision, which has been a very nice and successful subdivision. I think it's been good for the parish as well. Due to a large amount of fill that was required on this particular subdivision, we already had to knock out a couple of the house plans that we were planning on, because just grading from the existing ground at the property line, the lot depth really limited what house plans we could really build. And so now we have several other house plans that we can build, but we have two house plans in particular where the building itself fits within the side building lines, but the eaves on the building overhang the building lines by one of them just 10 inches and the other one 12 inches on each side. It seems like a fairly minor encroachment, and so we're hoping that we can get this variance granted. Making a revision to these plans really, I mean, even though it's no matter how small of a revision it is, we have to go back through a number of consultants to go get all this stuff done, and it can cost a significant amount of money to make any changes to these plans. We do have some pre-solds where some people have already agreed to buy certain house plans, and now we're trying to get the permit to get started, and we can't deliver on those house plans. So we don't want to put those home buyers in a bad position where they've already sold their existing house and they're ready to get going on another house here. the variance we're requesting does not push these houses any closer to any adjacent properties that are outside of the subdivision. It just allows those eaves to be a little bit closer between the houses that we're building. So there really will not be any effect on any surrounding property owners. That we request that you approve this variance.
Okay. So what's the hardship?
What's that?
What's the hardship?
I mean, like I was saying, it costs quite a bit of money to make changes to these plans.
Not to me. Not to a parish resident. What's the hardship? Developer just making more money is not a hardship.
Well, the hardship, I mean, if you want to put it in the terms of the hardship to the parish, I mean, we have other plans that we could build here, but they're not going to be as beneficial to the parish in that they're not going to be at that same price point. They would be a much lower price point. I think it's going to be I think you're going to generate more tax revenue for the parish, the higher price house you can sell in there.
And so this development is just going to be a one street going all the way back?
Yes.
There's no attaching to the other subdivision?
There's existing, there's no other connection point to the side properties. At the end, there's a cul-de-sac at the end that goes all the way to the property line, but we don't have a plan to connect to anything on the other side. The developer doesn't own that property.
What type of fire safety y'all putting in the subdivision if you're moving the houses closer together and one catches on fire? What's going to prevent it from catching the other one on fire?
Well, we actually, we've run into this, a similar situation in Lafayette, and Lafayette does a lot of these, the master plan communities where they're really requiring the buildings to be closer together. They have a similar ordinance in that the face of the building is required to, the face of the building and the eaves are required to be within the building lines, but they've let us allow the eaves to overhang the building lines in exchange for us installing it's a 5/8 inch type X sheetrock on the eaves, and it's a mold and mildew resistant, and it also is fire rated, so that actually helps with the fire safety between the buildings, and Lafayette and having similar regulations to Ascension, they have allowed this before, and it seemed to work out well.
And are the houses already built from 1 through 29?
For
Lots 1 through 29?
No, the houses are not built yet. We're trying to get that permit to get it started.
No, I'm talking about like the front of the subdivision. I think y'all are doing 30 through 69. Is that correct?
We're doing all the lots in there.
So you're doing 1 through 69 lots?
Yes.
And so 1 through 20, nothing's been built in the
No
subdivision
construction
yet?
has started?
Not yet. There's 3, sorry. There's 3 houses underway.
Under which lots?
It's lot 2, I believe. The exact lots, I think it's like
I have a
29
map
to-
if you need that.
Yeah, I can look at the map. It's
Right here, it's zoomed in. There you go.
lot 2, lot 28 and 27, I believe.
Okay. And so all those homes were already built without a variance? They didn't need one?
Well, not every plan overhangs.
Okay.
How many plans do y'all have total in this development? House plans?
We have 8 different plans. I have some examples of it's just 2 plans.
The Destinham and Maywood are the ones
Yes.
you're requesting a variance for?
Yes.
So y'all have 8 plans and 2 that you're requesting a variance on?
Yes. The goal really is we really want to create we don't want to have just that same house all down the street. We'd like to create a nice looking neighborhood that has some variety in it.
I believe the Zesterham, there's already a pre-sold at like 259,000,
Yeah,
and we just can't build it yet.
I mean, if the lots had been, 75 feet instead, wouldn't that have solved the problem? Instead of packing more people into the community, which is going to further impact traffic on Highway 42?
Could you eliminate one or two lots and solve your problem without us?
At this point, that would be pretty difficult considering the infrastructure that's already been installed. You know, we have sewer services that are in there. We have different drainage infrastructure that's put in. You're constrained by drainage servitudes. I mean, shifting, it sounds easy to shift these lot lines around, but it really has kind of a waterfall effect across the subdivision. If you do one little thing, and now you've really messed up a bunch of other things where nothing seems to fit quite right.
And there was a traffic study done. There's not a traffic issue.
There's a traffic issue on 42 all the time, and every time another highly congested subdivision comes out, I mean, 70 feet isn't a very wide lot at all. I mean, that's a thin lot, and it's just, you know, more and more houses being built on 42 is going to increase it. There's no doubt about that. I mean, have y'all driven down 42 in the morning?
Well, I mean, that's why they're 4-laning it to 44. They were gonna do that 20 years ago, but they waited 20 years. But I mean, there's hardly any subdivisions down there where this subdivision's at.
But they all go down 42 to get to Airline, pretty much.
No, they're actually going from that way back to Airline. Where this subdivision is like 1.5 miles from Fred's.
Mhm.
There's no subdivisions down there.
No, I understand what you're saying, but a lot of those people may end up having to go down to Airline to get to work, maybe going down 44, increasing traffic. And it's just, I don't see why, a little forethought to widen the lots.
Well, you know, one thing is this is, you know, you're talking about reducing the number of lots. I mean, this is I think if you add up, if you look at this lots 1 through 18 here, we're talking about 12 inches on 2 plans, really. We're not even building 2 plans on all those, so it's not like it's going to change it's not like it's going to change the number of lots. I mean, 1 foot across 18 lots is going to be 18 feet. You know, that's not a whole lot, but we're still constrained here. You know, I mean, this is just something that there's a drainage servitude in the middle of a lot of these different things. I mean, we just can't go shifting these things around at this point, unfortunately.
Why nothing's built?
No, I mean, like the drainage pipes that are in these
I don't care about
servitudes.
pipes. Pipes can be moved. They move them every day. They move them along 73 all the time. I'm just saying that you could eliminate 50 and 51 and do what you need to do. That's the very end.
51.
I don't have the other,
I mean, you're asking us to go below 5 feet on each side of each building down to 3.5 foot in between, which is basically gonna put you, 7 foot
I guess
between
what-
buildings?
What is the concern, you know, is the concern the fire safety? Because we could put in like I said, the special sheetrock and everything on the eaves, and we'd even be willing to put in some additional fire hydrants if
But the
safety is the
sheetrock on the eaves
concern.
not gonna stop the shingles from transferring 1 to 1 that
Well,
close.
you're talking about 10 inches between the 2 lots is what you're talking about. You're not talking about down to 7. You're talking about 10, from 10 foot down to 9 foot 2. And you're talking about maybe 3 to 4 instances in that whole first phase that would be an impact.
We're not talking about every single lot here. We're just talking about,
According to my variance, it's all lots in River Landing subdivision.
Related to those two
really
houses.
where these would be proposed.
But we have restrictions preventing them to build them side by side. They can't build these houses side by side. It might be maybe 3 to 4 lots that this would have an impact on.
So why do a blanket variance?
Because we don't know where those houses are gonna go.
Well, they can come to us when they're ready. As an individual basis. I don't see why.
We can't put a concession in there that we won't build more than 3 to 4 in the blanket.
Well, I think my concern is that if we knew ahead of time that these were 70-foot lots, and I'm sure that when the developer and the home builders and everybody met on this, they knew what plans they wanted to do, and they knew there were 70-foot lots. This was known ahead of time. It could have been solved then, said, hey, let's do 1 less lot. Take a little bit of cut on the profit, but people would have had better lots. I mean, my concern is seeing Ascension Parish, just every subdivision is going to have 70-foot lots, and everybody say, let's put a bigger house on it. We did in the last subdivision, well, let's do it on this one too. We don't want to, I don't want to see Ascension Parish develop to where we're just cramming bigger houses on smaller lots. And a
You
little
have-
forethought
You
here.
have granted a number of variances that are similar to this.
I mean, not long ago, there was a variance granted in the Cambry Place subdivision that was significantly greater than this. I mean, we're talking, that one was a 20-foot front and rear setback variance. I mean, we're talking about 10 to 12 inches, not,
Right, but they didn't
multiple
shrink
feet.
down to 3.5 feet between the line and the building. Even when we do variances, we still rarely go below 5. And you can look at all your history.
Yeah,
on
what do
that.
you
Ten
mean,
inches.
what do you mean 3.5 feet?
You're asking for a foot and a half.
You're asking for a 1.5 variance on a 5-foot side
18
back.
inches, 3.5.
Okay,
On
well,
the
I didn't
sideline.
see that. If we have a 12-inch, I mean, a 12-inch should suffice.
No, I can say just from my side, I'm with Brad here. If per lot makes a lot more, makes more sense. The reason the rule's there is to not have an issue. And, like if you came up and said, lot 4, 14, stuff like that, I'd be more comfortable to open a whole neighborhood up to,
Well, this was obviously an oversight. This was an issue, and I understand where y'all are coming from, but, the reason we're here after the fact is because we have an issue.
oh no, I understand that.
I mean, if we would've had the foresight beforehand, of course, we would've made the adjustment, but we're all the way into this thing and, already got a house sold and everything else. That's one of the plans that, to speak of. If you guys are not gonna approve it, can you at least consider the 4 plans that are in there? We already have designated the lots. Can you approve those? Because we're being held up for a couple, 3 weeks on 4 sets of plans right
don't-
now.
We don't have anything in our packet that breaks it down into houses and which lots. All we have is the whole subdivision listed by lot number, and then the first part plat map, and some Google Maps.
I mean, if we were to provide the restrictions showing that these houses can't be built next door to each other, so that would prove that we're not gonna be building these next door to each other, and they're not
Well,
gonna be within the.
I'm sure the
distance.
restrictions also leave it up to DH Horton that if they want to, or the developer, I'm sorry, that if they want to change the restrictions, they can, to either build different houses, smaller houses, larger houses. And they could alter that, couldn't they?
But we're certainly not gonna do that in the event that you guys put something in agreement. We're not gonna go against y'all on the back end.
I mean,
No, but what I'm saying is you're saying that they can't build these houses next to each other. That's only per what's in the development rules that y'all have right now. But within those rules, if we were to look at those, I'm sure there's somewhere in there that says that the developer can change them at his or her will.
Yeah, but it's not gonna happen where we're gonna change against y'all's will.
we could, I mean, I guess in the language of the approval that y'all could give, it would say that this eve encroachment could be allowed only in the event that the lot adjacent to it does not have an eve encroachment. And that would seem to really rectify the whole situation, no matter what plans are ever used. I mean,
I'd feel better if it was a individual, I think we said this before, an individual lot-by-lot decision.
Because you're still gonna have some other lots that, according to this map, that I can see, you're gonna have to come before us anyway. I see probably 48, 49, 50, probably 51. They're gonna all want front and rear setback variances because of the turnaround in the back. So I mean, then y'all gonna be coming back for those individual lots anyway in the back.
I don't see that at all. I
we don't have that
don't
in
understand that statement, to be honest with you.
I don't have that other one in front of me.
You talking about the depth now?
Yeah, the front and rear setbacks to fit your house plan. You can fit it on 49 and 50.
Well, everything there is 140, 150 foot deep, I'm pretty sure.
And I wouldn't want to,
With a
Then,
25-foot setback on both sides, on the front and the back.
I mean, there's,
It's
you
what
know,
I'm-
there's from a depth point of view out here, I mean, they can't be changing that because of the grading to get back down to existing ground at the adjacent property. So, I mean, I'm not concerned about anybody coming back for anything related to that.
Okay.
And we've already reviewed everything on the depth.
Okay.
I can tell you from my side, I like it lot by lot for the reason of, I know what you're saying, I actually have seen the plans and, in other neighborhoods y'all built throughout the GBR area, but
Well, I know,
Hey, just a
precedent,
blanket.
I know
Yeah.
precedent before, we eliminated doing a whole subdivision at one time because of the, issues with Pelican Point, I guess that was the last one we did as a whole subdivision. And it just was kind of, they kept coming back, then the individuals come back, for
Yeah.
other variances. And it just didn't seem like us as adjustments, we're not adjusting a subdivision. Technically, I would say if the planning and zoning approved this subdivision, let them approve it with the smaller lots.
Can I ask one thing, though? We do have several sets of plans that are being held up in inspection right now. And do we have to wait till next month to get something done on those? Because we went about it the way we thought we needed to. If we would have brought those 4 plans to you today, if we.
I mean, don't need no plans, we just need it, I think we do it by lots, whenever
yeah,
Lance would do it.
Do you know which lots are at the? Do we have to wait till next month to bring those?
If
that
it's
would
not
be-
filed today, most probably.
We'll see if you don't know, don't know lot numbers or which
We don't
one?
have them with us.
Yeah, I don't know the lot numbers.
Okay. All right, let's open up for have a seat, we're gonna open up for public comment period. And then we'll get y'all back for rebuttal. If anybody has anything for or against this variance, please come sign in right here and state your name and.
Hi, my name is Keith Dean. I'm an adjacent property owner. I feel like probably my opinions would be the same if I lived across the parish from this development. As you can see, there are always unforeseen developments. I feel like if you grant especially a development-wide variance, that it's going to negate the purpose and the intent of the statute. Also, even if you grant individual variances, most fires don't start external to a house. Most of them start internally. So, and for fire protection, not that it would affect me. I'm very far from these property lines, but the adjacent homeowners who may or may not be here tonight, they probably deserve to have, there's going to be unforeseen developments in the building of their house or the maintenance of their house. If you don't have access between these buildings, there's going to have complications, and I don't feel like, I wish I were more familiar with the parish dimensions as far as their statutes, but I kind of feel like it would have parish-wide implications. Other than that, if somebody is about to build probably a couple $100,000 house, if that sounds like the range, then I would feel like even if I was if I were building a house, I think that I would probably go back and relick that calf a little bit and amend my house plans. That's not a major expenditure for an individual if they're buying a house and they're spending almost $250,000. Then they really need to have their plans very well thought out. The parish went to a lot of trouble to get these statutes developed. I'm sure this got kicked around a lot when the codes were made. See if I have any other comments. Like I said, it's just unforeseen access needs for fire protection and the adjacent homeowners, maintenance, clearance, if they have problems, if they have to have demolition, if you have to have access with a vehicle. I think that's about all that I have to say, but as you heard the developers say, they had unforeseen developments when they were building the subdivision. Those don't stop just because the subdivision is finished. But I thank you for the time, and if I could fill this out when I'm sitting down, I'll yield to somebody else.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Good evening. My name's Jeff Mealy. I have an adjacent property to this subdivision that's going up River Landing. And it seems to me like they seem to think that all this groundwork has been done, that it would be a big change for them to move, you know, that they couldn't adjust these houses to these size of these lots, which they knew they had. They've already done variances on these lots before. They've already made them smaller. So, and now they've made them smaller, now they're trying to put bigger houses on them. So it seems to me like they seem to think it's not a big deal to make the lots smaller, but make the houses bigger. So 12 inches, that's 12 inches. Just make the house 12 inches smaller. And this D.R. Horton, they seem to think it's expensive to do all these changes. They are a Fortune 500 company. They have billions of dollars at their leisure hand. They can pretty much do as they will. So I'm just hoping that y'all just hold them to what they started to begin with, and let's not give them any more.
Okay.
And I also have here other property owners that couldn't make it up here tonight that have signed that they didn't want the variances on these properties either. So,
Okay. Do you have a letter or something from them?
I just went to them from this letter that I was sent.
Okay.
And I just went to them and talked to them, and I said no to the variance or yes to the variance, and some of them didn't care, but some of them did.
Okay.
And if I need to do a petition, I'll go do a petition.
Okay.
And thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, closing public comment period. Discussion?
Yeah, I just like the, you can possibly have two houses 7 feet away from each other in a new neighborhood. I understand in the past, it's been like, you know, a homeowner come up and it's an empty neighborhood. You drive by there, it's dirt.
Right.
Well, a concern that I have is if somebody wants to build something in the backyard, build a pool or something, and you have to get something back there, equipment back there, this will probably necessitate having to tear down a fence. That could be a neighbor's fence. You know, the homeowner that's going to have the variance is still going to have to pay for that, but it still creates a problem with tearing down fences, that sort of thing, if you have to go back there, if there's not enough room.
Yeah, I think lot by lot.
Don't say that again.
Do I hear a motion?
I move to deny.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second it now.
Okay, I've got a motion to deny by Mr. Aaron Lawyer, second by Mr. Devin Graham. All those in favor to deny?
Aye.
All right. Next item on our agenda is old business. Anybody have any old business?
No, sir.
Any new business?
No, sir.
None.
I hear a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to
I
adjourn.
second that motion.
All right, motion by Mr. Willie Robinson, second by Mr. Aaron Lawyer to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.